A young girl in her second year of medical school is struggling to pay the bills. She gets on the phone with someone who may be able to help her, and explains that this house is the only thing she and her brother have left from their father. The life insurance didn't pay out because suicide isn't covered. She begs the stranger not to evict them because they won't have anywhere else to go. They hang up on her. She calls her brother, but he's dealing with something at the moment. He rants about the government spying on its citizens and how we're being screwed over because of capitalism. It's an endless cycle that keeps you busy and distracted until you die. His friend grabs the book and snaps him out of it, reminding him that he's the getaway driver, so he needs to get his head in the game. TJ needs his cut of the money to keep their house. Seconds later, their plan has gone horribly wrong, and he ends up leaving his friend dying in the parking lot. He returns home and tells his sister no one was supposed to get hurt. When he mentions Ross, Chloe has a flashback of their breakup. They argue about whether or not he's a good person for her brother to be around, but he stops her mid-sentence when he tells her he's pretty sure Ross is dead. She remembers the good times, and it breaks her heart. He says he did it for them, because he couldn't just stand by while they lost everything. The sheriff responds to the scene of the crime and confirms that another low-life criminal has bit the dust. Chloe tells TJ she needs him to answer some questions. She asks if anyone saw him or if he told anyone about this, and he says no. He also ditched the stolen car and set it on fire. She says he'll be fine, he's just gonna stay home and keep a low profile, but TJ remembers something critically important. He messaged Ross on his iPhone to arrange this whole thing, and it was in his pocket when he was shot. Chloe freaks out and scolds TJ for his stupid choices. She decides they have to get Ross' phone. It'll be in the evidence room until they have time to process it. At the building, Chloe distracts security by requesting to see a car accident victim one last time. TJ goes around the back and finds that there's several security cameras, a fence with barbed wire, and a dog. The only way they're getting back there is in a body bag. Chloe asks if he's still got his Adderall connection, because they're gonna need some. Outside a veterinary clinic, they meet a woman who provides them with Adderall and another medication, intended to slow the brain and nervous system movement to a deep sedation. Chloe says that now it's time to play dead. She explains that she'll inject it, and she'll probably appear to be dead. She'll have to be cold when they find her, so he's gotta wait a while before he calls it in, and he needs to remain anonymous. TJ tries to take her place, but since he's had run-ins with the law lately, she has to be the one to do it. When she wakes up, she takes the Jane Doe tag off her toe. It's extremely cold, and she can't get out. When she hears someone coming, she knows she has to get back to how she was. Somehow, she manages to play dead when the coroner stares directly into her eye. Not only that, she catches the door just before it locks her inside. She fights to walk straight, and accidentally steps in a victim's blood. It's her friend from the accident, and seeing her like that isn't easy. She has Kelly's blood on her foot, which could leave footprints wherever she goes. She cleans up and finds scrubs. In another room, the coroner is keeping busy, but nearly catches sight of Chloe before she runs. He hears her turn off the light, but assumes the room is clear because it looks the same as when he left. Someone rings the buzzer, and Chloe is surprised to witness an illegal organ sale. Chloe finds the autopsy room, and says her goodbyes to Ross. When her fingers brush over his hand, he grabs her. Somehow Ross is still alive. Chloe is starting to realize that there is something sinister going on. She tells Ross she's there to get his phone. Since TJ and him were stupid enough to plan a robbery, she vows to return for him after she gets the keys. The coroner sets his keys on a little table beside him while he saws through a deceased victim, giving Chloe a tempting opportunity to steal them. As she leaves, the man gets a phone call from a distorted voice, telling him they'll be there shortly to pick up Ross's liver. She races to save him, but Ross isn't in the best walking condition. While she unlocks the doors, the coroner spots them on the security camera. Ross apologizes to Chloe. Just before he collapses and she unlocks the door, the man approaches them, and sprays them with gas before Chloe can get Ross up. When she awakens, she tries talking to Ross, but the coroner says he won't be able to hear her. She pleads with him to spare their lives and to let them go. He asks why he would do that if they just returned to their life of crime. He accuses her of being a despicable, stupid person, whose entire existence is worth no more than the sum of her parts. She tells him she's not like that, and that she's going to school for forensic medicine. He says it's an underrated field, and she says that's her point. She wants to make a difference. She also tells him that she knows her father didn't commit suicide. He had PTSD and hallucinations, but they called it a suicide, so the life insurance didn't pay out. the coroner calls it the victim's excuse. He pulls out Ross's liver, and his heartbeat stops. The man gets a phone call from his daughter and he pretends everything is fine. While he forces Chloe to remain silent, he leaves with Ross' organ, and Chloe attempts to make an escape. While the coroner tends to Kelly's body, he hears Chloe using his saw. She hides under the table while he looks for her. Once the coast is clear, she finds the evidence lab and a BB gun. She uses it to threaten the coroner to give her Ross's phone, but he knows there couldn't be a loaded firearm in the evidence room, so Chloe fires, and it draws blood from his eye, but she's unable to get the phone. She runs away, in fear of her life. She finds a person being kept alive, who's apparently had body parts harvested from them. He begs her to kill him, and she backs away, knocking over a small table and awakening more people who are being kept alive for their bodies. Chloe has escape on her mind now, but the man tells her about the incriminating messages he's found on Ross's cell phone, and how she should turn herself into him. For TJ's sake, she breaks into the coroner's office, and sees he's pretending to be a normal guy with his family. She calls TJ and tells him she failed. She wasn't able to get Ross' phone because the coroner is hurting people in here. She tells him to just get out of the state, and if she doesn't make it out alive, she's sorry. He tells her to stay there, which makes Chloe think he doesn't understand the severity of the situation, but then the line goes dead. The coroner appears with his dog, telling her not to worry. He doesn't kill, he'll just incapacitate her. While she evades the dog, TJ meets with the sheriff and tells him he'll confess if he helps him save his sister. She is able to trap the dog by tempting him with Ross' liver. The sheriff arrives to speak with the coroner, and Chloe has made it to the security room, where she buzzes the doors open. She greets the sheriff and TJ, and quickly tells the sheriff everything she's seen. He believes her, and says if he really is doing the things she says he is, he'll look forward to bringing justice down on him. But then, he turns around and beats Chloe to the ground. She tells TJ to run, but he doesn't. The sheriff beats on TJ, until Chloe holds him at gunpoint. They get out the door, but then the coroner uses the speaker to tell the cop it's a fake gun. Chloe throws it at him to buy them some time, but the sheriff knows they're trapped on the premises. He calls the dog on them, who comes straight from his owner's reprimanding. The dog gets a hold of TJ's pants, and the coroner turns on the electric fence. As the dog gnaws on TJ's arm, Chloe uses herself to electrocute the dog. They quickly get up and find a pipe to use on a lock and chain. They get inside a door seconds before the dog comes to tear them up. Chloe and TJ embrace and she promises they can make it out of this. The customer returns to buy Ross' liver, but it's since been eaten by the dog, so the coroner tells him he's trying to replace it and to come back in an hour, but Mannix doesn't like this. The sheriff shows up behind him and shoots him, right in the liver, so they can't use his, but they still have 2 kids on the premises that'll do nicely. The cop makes it clear that if anything goes down, he'll be the one emerging a hero. For killing a butcher. The coroner makes a new arrangement with his contact, charging him even more for the liver, because he makes the rules. Chloe and TJ pull injured Mannix into the ducks with them, and get to a place where he offers them $25,000 if they manage to get him out of there alive. Gas starts pouring in, so Chloe gives them each oxygen masks and says they'll be looking for her, so after she runs out, they can leave and get help. TJ steps out, and he gets tossed by the coroner. Chloe is barely able to function, but she hits the top off an oxygen tank with a hammer, and straight into the sheriff's head. The coroner knows the jig is up when he finds the sheriff dead, so he starts executing the people he's harvested from. He tells Chloe over the speakers that she's ruined his life, and now her brother will pay, by sacrificing his liver. She finds the room where he's about to be operated on, and talks with TJ for a moment before the coroner shows up behind her with a tiny blade. He throws her against the wall, and tries to take her eye, but she flash freezes his face, and then bashes it so hard that his skin shatters. The fight continues, but with TJ and Mannix's help, Chloe stabs the coroner in the head with a large knife. Mannix says that since he helped them escape, they're even, but if they get the coroner's liver out for him, he'll pay them for it. After Chloe harvests the liver, Mannix pays TJ, and they all head out. Grateful to be alive.